Today on The Social, disturbing allegations emerge from the ongoing Sean Diddy Combs trial. But what service does this level of detail do for the victims and the public? And do you feel pressure to deep clean before guests come over? Why some say making everything picture perfect does our relationships dirty. Then, eyeliner for your eye shape. Find out what tips and tricks to use for round, almond, or hooded eyes with makeup artist Veronica Chu. Plus, navigating the cascade of identity change and emotions that come with that special period of transition into motherhood with the author of Mothershift. It all starts now on The Social.
Because it is so gorgeous outside and you still chose to be inside. So thank you for being here, everybody. We'd like to welcome back to the show the host of Virgin Radio Toronto's morning show, Darren and Deepa. Deepa Prashad is back. Welcome back.
Thank you for having me.
You're also here when you could be outside. So
I know.
Thank you very, very much.
You're most welcome. I wouldn't rather be doing anything else.
Amazing.
Take that.
Well, we're going to start with a story that the whole world seems to be talking about, everybody, and it is the sex trafficking trial of Sean Diddy Combs. It's so huge. Yeah. So the details are now emerging from his former girlfriend, Cassie Ventura's testimony. A lot of the details that are coming out, boy, they are horrific. Now, we're not going to get into them here, but Ventura has recounted graphic instances of alleged sexual and physical abuse. She's also claimed that Combs kept videos of her as blackmail. So the thing that we're starting, the question really is, what service does this level of detail and this information that is coming out for all of us to consume, what does it do for the victims and also for the public? Like, do we need to hear all of this, Deepa?
I don't know. It's so crazy because, like you said, the details are so graphic. And when I hear the details, I'm like, I can't imagine going through something so traumatizing and having to relive that, but also with the public in your ear, giving their own opinions. And to me, what scares me the most about a trial like this is because we're dealing with superstars. It's almost like an entertainment shock value. Like every time a new piece of evidence comes out or a new story, you're like, wow, can this get crazier? Then the next day it does. So I'm a little bit fearful that our society is like, oh, looking at this as entertainment versus like someone's lived experience and they've had to go through this once and now they're going through it again.
So are you choosing, like, are you following?
No.
You're
I'm not
stepping back.
I know like the Coles notes of it, but I wouldn't go into an article and read every single detail because I'm like, I don't know if I want to know all this information, to be quite honest.
Yeah, I understand that.
See, and I'm doing the opposite. I'm doing a deep dive. I want to know every single detail. I wish I was covering this. I wish I was in the courtroom because I think it's very important for everybody to hear the details. I know they are rough, but I think what we have to look at is we have a public persona who is well known before this case, of course, for being fun and outgoing and successful. And he has this great story raised by his single mother, Janice. And then he like pulled himself up by his bootstraps and became this great guy. And then there are people, even with all these details, who really truly believe that Cassie is a gold digger, a person who's looking for an opportunity to take money from Diddy and that she liked the freak-offs and all of these details. So I think it's important for people to understand what's going on because I think there's a nuance to sexual assault that people just don't understand. Because I'm hearing a lot, I'm reading the comments and there are people saying, well, why didn't she just leave? She wasn't a prisoner. Why didn't she just leave? And it's like, you need to hear all the details. This young woman was 19 years old when she started dating this man who was 37 at the time. There's a lot that we need to unpack, so I think it's important for everybody to understand what went on in that relationship and to hear all the details, because even
all allegations.
All the allegations,
right now,
of course, because even right now this morning, his team, the defense team, is presenting text messages showing that Cassie was in favor of the freak-offs. So it's going to be her word against his.
Right.
So I think all the details, in order for this to be a fair trial, need to be out there.
What do you think?
Wow,
Jess?
yeah, you make a good point. I'm choosing to disengage. There are, I don't know if this happens to any of you, but particularly right now, it feels like there are a number of stories that were trying to follow to be good citizens, keep engaged with the world. I checked into Cassie's trial the first day when she was giving evidence, when she was on the stand, so to speak, and I pulled back.
It's too much.
And yeah, it's too much for me. But here's the thing, I do feel it's important for it to be covered because it could spark change. It could expose sort of the patterns of abuse. And I do think it will help some people, but I'm choosing to disengage.
Yeah.
And I'm trusting that journalists, advocates, and the courts will sort of carry that torch. But I'm good.
Yeah, I think that's a great point because I think we have to talk about how the media is covering this because there's one thing to report the details that are being revealed in court, and there's another thing to create a headline that is just for clickbait.
Right.
And I think there's a way to try to balance it. Some of the details are actually so horrific that you don't, it's clickbait by itself, if that makes sense.
You don't need to elaborate or...
But I think there's a difference between sensationalizing and then contextualizing. And I think to just pull one allegation and not talk about the allegations of the history of grooming and abuse, those are two different things to me. I do think it's important that all the information is out there. I think if you look at court systems around the world that are closed or are in communist countries, we always say, well, the court system ain't fair because no one gets to see it. No one gets to hear it. The public needs to hear and see all of the details to ensure that the justice system is working properly in this case. And finally, as a parent, I mean, I have chosen your way, Andrea, which is I'm in for every detail, and it is hard. Sometimes I'm just like, I can't have any more, but I do think it's important as a woman. I think it's important as a mother of a daughter. But my daughter was watching the news and she goes, what's this about, Mommy? So I think kids are seeing this because it's everywhere. For me, I am not giving any details to my daughter. She's too young for this, she's 11. But are we talking about consent? Yes. Are we talking about abuse of power? Yeah, we are talking about that. Are we talking about intuition, trusting your gut? Who can you trust, who can you not trust? Yeah. But these details, for me, as a parent, not for children. For me, I can make that
And
choice.
it's horrific, you make a great point, and it's horrific. As horrific as the details are, we have to remember there's a young girl out there right now who's dating a guy who's not rich and famous, but he's putting her through the same thing. And she's gonna hear this and go, wait a second.
It's not okay.
It's not okay, and I don't like it, and he does blackmail me. So this is gonna help more than it's gonna hurt. I know it's hard to listen to, but there are a lot of women out there going through this. So I think it is important. Anyways, I'll keep you guys abreast of the situation. Let's move on to something else now. A man posted on Reddit saying his sister-in-law asked him to change her baby's poopy diaper during a family dinner. When he refused, she called him selfish. But he says that's not his job. So is this an inappropriate request? This man's like, this man's like, no thanks.
No?
Yeah, I mean, the guys are like, no, don't ask. I don't know.
Do it anyway.
Oh, this is so tricky, isn't it?
No, it's not. It's not tricky.
Okay, I'll remember from when I was a parent, I just never, this was not a thing that I ever did. I wasn't like,
Like you
hey,
wouldn't ask that of...
No, I mean, unless I was like, you know, I was in a situation and I couldn't, like, oh, I burned my hand. Can you change my daughter's diaper? I don't ever remember asking somebody, hey, can you change it? I did remember saying, like, you know, there's people that I trust to do it, obviously, the husband, my mother, my mother-in-law, but to actually ask to do it when someone doesn't want to do it, you're getting into tricky territory. You're getting into tricky territory. And there were some people who would be curious. I could see them, like, because maybe they were thinking of having a child, right?
Well, no, I'm curious to be like, how
to do it.
You're curious.
How bad is it?
Because in some friend groups, Jess, if you've never been around babies ever, and one of your friends or relatives is the first to have a baby, some people have a curiosity,
Absolutely.
Right?
I would like to
Curiosity
think that...
killed the cat.
I like to think that I would do this. So I'd also like to think that my friend or family member wouldn't have to ask me, that maybe I would see a mother holding the baby or trying to do a multitude of other things. I hope that I would smell it and I would act. Because I want to be part of that village, you guys.
Yes,
I want to help out.
But like all of
that village.
For you.
All of my friends.
Listen.
All of my friends are having kids now, and this is just so common. Like when we go over.
They'll ask?
Yeah, like, hey, do you
Really?
Yeah.
I've never been asked.
I think to me that's so normal. It's like, oh, you're a new parent. You're like struggling with so many things. Life is crazy.
What planet am I on?
Okay, I would never do it.
Listen up. Parents,
I
listen
refuse.
up. Parents, listen up. Aunties and uncles, our job is to entertain, spoil,
Clean diapers.
teach your children, and then hand them back. It's too big of an ask. I'm sorry. Anybody who's ever been in a room with a full diaper knows exactly what I'm talking about.
It's not
Don't
that
put it
bad,
on me.
especially the little
It's
ones.
not that bad.
It's just like a green color. It's not even solid.
That's actually worse.
Hey, don't you want to be part of that village?
Nope.
We don't want to be the type of aunties that are just taking the Instagram of the fun stuff and then walking away from the hard stuff.
The village stops right at that poopy diaper. I'm not doing it. I'm also an older sister, so I've changed diapers. I know what it is. I didn't want to do it for my sister. Why would I want to do it for your kid?
Boundaries.
There's boundaries. I don't want to do it. You're the parent. I think whatever you're doing, you're like, oh, I'm doing this. Can you help me change the diaper? I'll be like, no, I'll do the thing that you're busy with. And you change the diaper. That's fair, right?
What if the mom just needs a timeout? She just needs a timeout.
Well, she could take a timeout and then change the diaper.
And then she... What I'm trying to say
leave that right there. Up next, everybody. Do you feel pressure to deep clean your house before somebody comes over? Some people are saying, though, that striving for picture perfect does our relationships dirty. So we're going to discuss this, and I think we are going to go deep into the therapy land right after this. Right after this. Yes.
Tomorrow on The Social, a bare-naked lady weighs in. Ed Robertson drops by before hitting the road for the last Summer on Earth tour. Next week on The Social, Lilo and Stitch stars Tia Carrere and Courtney Bernard Vance tell us about tackling the live-action remake of the beloved classic.
Oh my God, I just said it. We said Tia Carrere. She's Filipino royalty. She's going to be so sweet. All right, if you want to jump in on this show, this conversation, get us on social media, and that's how you can have your voice heard.
So a writer for the Globe and Mail suggests that giving into the pressure to deep clean, you know, that feeling before company arrives, makes a mess of our social lives. And that letting people into our less than perfect homes is a way to show vulnerability and build relationships. So do you agree? And Deepa,
Yes.
what do you think? Do you agree?
Yeah, okay, so I am known for doing deep cleans before anybody comes, but I think it's been ingrained into me. I don't know if this is like a Caribbean or a West Indian thing, but like, everybody said yes. Anytime any family member comes over to the house, they have to say something. Like, for example, I have 2 cats, and I mean, they shed, like that's a natural part of having cats, and like family will come over and be like, oh my God, Deepa, how much cat hair fly? And I'm like, cats, like I don't know what else you want me to do. So it's been ingrained in me, like there can be nothing out of place. There can't be cat hair on the ground. So I spend so much time cleaning. But that also came from my mom. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. So she took pride in like our beautiful home. But now that I'm like grown up and I have a family and I have a house, I'm like, I work full time. I don't actually have time to do as much of a job that she did. So I'm just like, don't shame me when you come to my house.
Are you tempted though to lay up a bit and relax and just have a house? Because I love a house that looks like it's been lived in. Do you know what I mean? Like where it looks like a family is there.
Yeah.
So I don't mind a little mess. I always have a rule of sort of, you know, the bathroom. Let's deep clean the bathroom because that's the only time I think I've ever judged other people. But if I'm walking to a house and there's piles of books, there's this and that, it's like, oh my God, people live here. But if I walk into your bathroom and the toilet seat's up and there's junk everywhere,
I feel you.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna sound like the lunatic on this panel today. My house is always done and always clean. Before I go to bed, I know. Before I go to bed, I have a ritual where I need to have all the dishes need to be in the dishwasher and I turn it on. I need to clean the counters. I need to do a little sweep if there's things and put pillows back where they're supposed to be and put the remotes where they're supposed to be so when I wake up in the morning, I don't have remnants of yesterday. I know I may sound like a psychopath to some of you, but this is how I like it in my house.
Wow.
So my house is always, so there's never, I don't have that like, oh, people are coming over, I have to clean up. It's like the house is, the bed is always made, things are always put away.
You're scaring
the
me
towels
because
are always fresh.
But is it like, you're scaring me because that's how I am. And I was just assuming that's how
And you didn't want to say it before.
Well, no, I just assumed like those basics. Of course you have all the dishes in the dishwasher the night before and you have the count. Or is that unusual? I'm not being facetious.
I will say, when
I
I've
do
gone to somebody's house and you wake up the next morning and I see dishes in the sink from the night before, I'm judging just a little bit.
Yeah!
Just a little, unless she's a very busy mom and, you know, it's a busy family.
Yeah.
I wish I could have that house. I think if I didn't have a husband or a daughter, I'd hopefully have that
Get
house.
rid of the man, it's worth it.
You know, no, he's great.
What a hot take.
But it's
for a clean house.
I think that the cultural component is big. I think, listen, again, I say it all the time on the show, I think men don't worry about this the same way that women do. Because women, we are judged for what our house looks like.
Absolutely.
You know, if you believe...
Simon's the one who's vacuuming 3 times a week.
Listen, I'm not saying they don't exist, but I'm saying culturally, if you subscribe to the thought that cleanliness is next to godliness, then somewhere unconsciously you are thinking that messiness is one step away from moral decay. And you might not say it out loud. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's right, but if you come over to somebody's house, even if it's a single guy, you are probably secretly thinking, so are they disorganized in the rest of their life? What does this look like? What does that look? What are their I'm not saying it's right. I'm saying that this culture has tried to equate a perfect home with a perfect person.
Right,
And that's not right.
And that's okay.
Right, that's not.
As much as my house is always put together, when I go to other people's homes and they're profusely apologizing, I go, don't apologize.
No.
This is your home. I'm not judging you. This is your house, not my house. I keep my house this way. I'm not expecting you to have your house the way I have my house. I see that you have a life. You have 2 dogs, 2 children. You have the whole bit. To have things all over the place, it doesn't bother me. So I don't judge people based on how they have things. I just know the way I need things in my house for me to go to sleep at night.
I feel like this was a pretty heated topic. I have another heated topic for you.
Love
today.
it.
On our show, we actually do a relationship riddle every week, and people write in for advice. So I thought that I would bring this dilemma to you guys. So a listener says, I'm getting married this fall and have already arranged my bridal party. I have 11 bridesmaid and 1 maid of honor. I have recently had a falling out with one of the bridesmaids. Nothing crazy, but she really hasn't been responsive or present in any of the bridal activities. She always seems to have an excuse as to why she can't attend. And I have another friend who I could essentially switch in and who would be a lot more present. Is it really bad taste to do the switch? What do you guys think?
What do you guys?
No, he says get her out.
I don't think
He
it's
says
wrong.
get her out.
You guys want her out.
Yeah.
Listen, let me just say, I'm not a huge fan of all the pre-wedding jibber jabber and nonsense, but it doesn't mean that I'm not happy for you and don't want to show up on your big day. It costs a lot of money. These brides are asking for things like they want you to go around the world and spend all this cash. And I'm like, no, honey, just the day. You get the day. And I think, you know, you can have an opinion about how your friend's reacting, but I hope you're also having a conversation and asking your friend what's going on. Because for you, you're getting married, but this person may have lost their job. They may have broken up with somebody. They may have experienced a death in their family. You don't know why they're not all exuberant about your love story. So ask first before you kick her out and have a pleasant conversation. Because if I wasn't happy about all the pre-wedding stuff and I got switched out and we didn't have a conversation, I'm not going to that wedding.
And I agree.
You wouldn't go to the wedding?
I'm not going to that
I
wedding.
agree with the conversation part, but I didn't realize how many responsibilities a bridesmaid has. Like, it's not just a title. Like, you're paying for a lot of things. You're organizing a lot of things. So I think, like, you need to have a conversation of, hey, you know what are the responsibilities that I have to do as a bridesmaid? And if you're not fit for it, just be like, oh, I'm sorry, like, you can move on. So I actually do get the bride's point of swapping somebody out, because if you're actually not picking up your own weight within the group, that's actually going to cause issues within the group itself.
Listen, she's got 11 bridesmaids. That sounds like a starting
They're not working
lineup.
hard enough. None of them.
It sounds like a starting lineup, not a bridal party. I say you just make it a dirty dozen and keep everyone. No one's going to notice.
Yeah.
Hey. Well, Deepa, thank you so much for that riddle.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, and thank you for joining us. Great to see you as always. Thank you. You can catch Deepa right here co-hosting Toronto's 99.9 Virgin Radio morning show, Darren and Deepa. It's weekdays starting at 5:30 a.m. Ooh, that is early.
Very early.
Eastern. Let's take a break, everybody. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back, everybody. So listen, no denying that platforms like Roblox and Minecraft, they were built for fun and creativity and connection. But behind the playful avatars and pixelated worlds, there's also a dark side. Watch this.
I started noticing kids being lured by adults. And I'm like, whoa, that's not okay.
Grooming, child sexual grooming, one infringement every 7 minutes.
I'd like to pretend it is a perfect universe, but it's not. The metaverse is just a breeding ground of problems.
That's a clip from a new film called Dangerous Games, Roblox, and the Metaverse Exposed, premiering this month on TVO. And joining us today in studio is director Shin and one of the film's subjects, Alex Farrugia. Welcome to the show.
Welcome, both of you. You know, I want to start with you, Anne. What initially motivated you to make this documentary about child safety on, games, big games that kids are playing online?
Well, our producer, Erica Leendertz, has a couple kids who are playing Roblox, and as she was watching them play, she started reading up on it and discovered that there were some dangers and alerted me about it. She talked to me about it, and I have a niece and nephew that play Roblox. And so we started researching and found, wow, there's some really weird and dangerous things that we find online, including S&M rooms or extreme right-wing groups recruiting people online.
Oof. Alex, don't judge me, but I don't really know the worlds of these games like Roblox and Minecraft. So essentially, they're world building.
Yeah, so I would describe it as Lego, but online. You can build anything you want. Yeah, no worries. It's basically Lego, but online. You can build anything you want. There's templates out there. And there's so much to do. It's a game with games on it. I think that's the best way I can describe it.
And you're very serious at gaming, and prior to this film, you had actually been going undercover within the Roblox world to uncover predators.
Yes, actually.
Can you walk me through what that looked like? Like, how did you do this?
So the way I did it is, first off, I noticed my friends getting lured when I was a teenager, and I'm like, whoa, this needs to stop, because there's extremes on Roblox. There are extremism. Like, I'm talking extremism. I'm talking school shooting recreations. And I started investigating these further, and I started forwarding the info to the police because I want to make an actual change.
Yeah.
I'm not someone who just wants to sit around and do nothing, right?
Wow. And I want to talk about platforms like Roblox and Minecraft, and I'm going to say this because my daughter also lives in the Dress to Impress world, which is part of the Roblox universe, and she's on that a lot with her friends as well. Let's talk about the risks. So what are the actual risks involved with these so that, I assume in some ways, not naively, that these are mostly kid-friendly spaces, but what are the risks? What should we be looking for?
Well, anyone from the age of 5 to 85 can be on there building environments for other people to play in, and they can be all kinds of environments. It can be sexual dens, it can be gas chambers. We saw a gas chamber that replicated Nazi gas chambers on Roblox, and extreme right-wing groups creating environments for them to chat people up and recruit them. There's a lot of things going on there.
If I can also just dive in, I noticed there's also a chat box, a text box that's happening in the corner of Dress to Impress. Is that where the luring is happening?
Yes, it's through the chat plugins as well as Discord, which is another app that people chat with one another.
Okay.
So, Alex, you obviously uncovered some pretty disturbing things in the metaverse, but before uncovering them, I'm going to wager that these spaces were spaces of joy, spaces of creativity. So, uncovering what you did, this darker side, how did it make you feel?
So honestly, I started my work in activism because I saw my friends being lured, right? And it makes me feel awful to know that these are supposed to be places of socialization. They're supposed to be places where we connect for all over the world.
Yeah.
And it's being taken over by bad actors, right? That's one of the things for me that really started this activism work of stopping predators, because I wanted to make change.
And keep it the way it was intended to be.
Yeah, keep it the way it was intended to be, for kids, by safe adults.
Oh,
right?
wow, that's nice.
Some of the stuff that you have uncovered, though, I mean, I don't want to be fear-mongering, but parents need to understand what some of the consequences in real life could be. And in some cases, there was even a child kidnapping case as a result of this.
Oh,
so how does something that is so innocent, which is playing one of your favorite games, escalate to something that dire?
Well, kids are meeting others always on this platform. And as avatars, you don't know if they're 15 years old or 54 years old. And so one girl who was 14 thought she was chatting with a boyfriend of 15 years of age. He convinced her to get into an Uber and cross 2 state lines and come to his house. Turns out he's in his late 30s and he's a child predator. So the crossover from the virtual world to the real world is really, it happens all the time.
I think some people might be like, okay, well then parents, you need to be watching your kids, but is the responsibility just parents, or how much responsibility does the platform have to keep their users safe?
It's a good point.
Yeah, you raise a great point. Platforms should be responsible, as well as lawmakers and parents, but they've been pushing it mainly on the parents. So recently, Roblox has made some changes so that parents can view who kids are chatting with and what experiences they're going into. But they haven't done anything to increase the human moderators who can actually be in the rooms to, to monitor what they're doing. And, the chat app, the Discord hasn't done anything to respond to these threats that have been carried out through their app.
Wow.
Alex, what advice would you give to kids and young people who are playing Minecraft and Roblox to protect themselves?
Honestly, the best advice I can give is only add your school friends, because when you take it offline or you take it real, that's when it becomes scary. That a lot of these situations are happening in real life. So the more we can mitigate that risk by adding only people you know and chatting to only people you know, the more we'll have a safer online universe.
Right. Okay, quickly, Anne, listen, I'm a parent. Parents are listening. What can we do to keep our kids safe?
It's a good question. There's 100 million users on Roblox every day and platforms like it. It's like a mega city. Now, you wouldn't let your child out into the night, in a back alley normally. So why would you let your child go onto a platform with 100 million users unattended or unsupervised? You should play with your kids like your brother-in-law did and get to know who they're chatting with and talking with, so that you can help them make wise decisions.
Every parent needs to watch this. Every person who has a young person in their life needs to watch this. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Dangerous Games, Roblox, and the Metaverse Exposed. It premieres Sunday, May the 25th at 9 p.m. on TVO. It's also available to stream on TVO.org and their YouTube channel. Please watch. Let's take a break, and we'll be back after this. Everybody, okay, so we know that eyeliner is a makeup staple, but have you ever lined your eyes according to your eye shape?
Well, you're about to find out how makeup artist Veronica Chu will walk us through 3 eye types and how to best line them to work with, not against your eye's natural shape. Veronica, welcome back to the show, girl.
Yay! Yay, Veronica. Okay, let's start off with what eye types we will be looking at today.
Okay, we're gonna talk about three. Round, almond, and hooded.
Okay, so we have round eyes here. I still don't understand. Explain to me what makes these round.
Okay, round is obviously circular in nature, but we can see the entire iris while her eye is open. We see some beautiful celebrities with gorgeous, gorgeous round eyes. We have Emma Stone. Fun fact, I've actually done her makeup. And then Lisa from Blackpink.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Okay, this makes so much more sense now. What kind of eyeliner technique looks best for this type of eye?
Okay, so we're gonna start off by using Vasanti Kajal Waterproof Liner. This is actually a Canadian brand.
Ooh,
4 sisters.
Nice. We like that.
BIPOC, so let's please support them. So this is a creamy product. We're gonna actually underline Grace's eye here.
Whoa.
So that's gonna accentuate her eye, her actual lash line and the bottom. It's gonna close off the round nature of the eye and give her more of a sultry feel versus trying to change the actual shape of her round eye.
Okay, so you're gonna actually do this?
No, we've already done it.
Okay, sorry.
Done this.
I got scared.
I
was like, well, you're gonna add more?
No,
because this looks gorgeous the way it is.
Yes.
But what about eyelashes? Do we leave it the way it is now, or do we do something to that?
So we're gonna add some Milk Makeup mascara here. And what we do is we really load it by the lash line, pull up, but at the edges, we're gonna really pull out the edges and look straight for me, Grace. Pull out the edges to elongate the eye and to give more of a, like a sharper feel versus so circular in nature. But you also wanna play with colors. Like there's blue, there's purple, there's brown. Feel free to really play with color.
Okay, because that's something I would like to do. But what if you wanted to do something like a little more dramatic? Can you do like a cat eye with an eye like Grace's?
Yeah, of course. We see Lisa from Blackpink always do a cat eye. She's obviously a performer, so she's on stage, but you can see that when you do a cat eye on a round eye, it changes the shape. So a little trick that I'm gonna show you is you're gonna take your pencil here, you're gonna just put it on the outer corner, a little tiny line, and with an edged Q-tip, you're just going to...
Oh, that's easy.
Yeah. So it doesn't change her roundness, but it just gives her elongation.
Oh, I could do that, I
You
think,
can
maybe.
do that.
Thank you, Veronica.
Thank
This is
you.
amazing.
Oh, yes.
Thank you,
Veronica, come on over. Come on over, because next we're gonna discuss the almond eye shape. So what is that? How do we know?
Yes, so first of all, I love almonds, sidebar note, but basically the almond eye, you can see the lid and the bottom lid kind of just cushion her iris, so you can see most of it, but a little hug to the eye.
We have some celeb examples too?
We have, of course, the bad girl Riri herself with her Gorgina eyes, and of course, Bella Hadid.
Okay, so that's the almond. Okay, so I feel like everybody looks like a cat eye is what's gonna be best. Is that what we're gonna do?
Yeah, we're gonna do a cat eye because this is gonna accentuate the almond. So I'm using Essence Princess Liquid Liner. Love this liner because it comes in 3 different colors, but it also has a brush applicator. And it's very inexpensive and very accessible, okay? So what we're gonna do is I've already obviously done it on our beautiful model here, but just to show you, I like to do like a little dot just before the brow ends, and then I'm gonna stretch and elongate and really refine that.
Julia needs no help, okay? Just for the record. She needs no help, but go on.
She's perfect, but she did sit in my chair for some time. Thanks, Mel.
Gorgeous.
So we did work on this. But I also just want to show you a little trick too with Julia. Like people are always asked with liner, like what do I do if I don't ever finish it? I actually took a brown and added little freckles to her face as well. Yes, I did do that.
Okay, I have a really quick question. We know liquid liner is hard. So the idea of the shape and the line, because I feel like you got to do it right the first time or you're taking it all off and starting again.
That's
so
right.
what is the trick?
Okay, so we have a precision Q-tip over here, okay?
Precision Q-tip.
It's just not any Q-tip, it is the precision Q-tip. Okay. And then we take our Philosophy step cleaner here, and this is also just gonna be great for the eyes, because it's very light in texture. You can wash off your makeup, but what you're gonna do is, let's say you made a mistake. I mean, I'm perfect, so I never make mistakes. But let's just say you're not me. You're gonna take that precision tip with the cleanser and you're gonna drag and pull to help really refine that eye.
I see.
Yeah, super easy.
You can look professional, like you did it right the first time.
Exactly,
Oh, we love that. Okay, beautiful,
Great
thank
tip.
you.
All right, Veronica, get on over here, girl. Last but not least, we have the hooded eye. So what classifies a hooded eye?
Okay, so the hooded eye, first of all, the name alone is like, ugh.
We need to rebrand it.
Yeah, we need to rebrand. But it's basically when the crease goes over the lids, so you don't have a lot of lid real estate. It's there, but she's covered a bit.
All right.
Yeah.
So can you give us some like celebrity examples of who has a hooded eye?
Of course. The hooded eye is so gorgeous, but we have supermodel Kate Moss with a hooded eye, and of course, the Zendaya.
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
You're in good company if you have a hooded eye, is what you're saying.
You're fine.
All right,
You're
so how do
fine.
we line the hooded eye then?
Okay, so we're gonna use the Kylie Cosmetics Smoky Eye. We're gonna use eyeshadows instead of liner.
Oh, okay.
Okay, we're gonna take a small little brush here, and we're gonna take our color here. Instead of closing your eye when you do a hooded eye, Susan here, who's Gorgina, we're gonna actually go on top of the actual hood and go and accentuate it, and then bring it rounded underneath like so. So that when you close your eyes, you can see here it's clear because you don't need to put product there. It's going to like be covered anyways. So we really want to accentuate on the outer corners and look up there like so, and then boom, gorgeous.
Okay, done. That's nice and easy. Listen, Veronica, thank you so much for stopping by and giving us these awesome tips. Always very helpful. Now I know how to do my eyeliner. All right, well, when we get back, we're going to be with the author of Mothershift, Reclaiming Motherhood as a Rite of Passage. You don't want to miss it. Stay with us.
I didn't know the author did that. We're back, everybody. So listen, you probably will not be surprised by this, but motherhood can be hard. It is certainly transformative, and it shifts everything, your body, your identity, even your entire sense of self.
Yeah, well, our next guest truly gets that and is here to talk about how women can honor that transition and navigate the emotional journey into motherhood. Please welcome to the show the author of Mothershift, Reclaiming Motherhood as a Rite of Passage, Jessie Harrold. Good to have you on the show.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
So Jessie, here's a word that you talk about in your book, in fact, what it's all about. And it's a word, frankly, I had not heard about before. And the word is matrescence.
You got it.
Matrescence. I had not heard of it until this book. What is that? Define it for us.
Yeah, matrescence is the word that we use to describe the transition into motherhood. So it's this radical transformation that's biological, it's psychological, social, it's economic, it's spiritual in its scope. That term matrescence was defined and kind of coined by a social anthropologist named Dr. Dana Raphael back in 1975. And it sounds like adolescence, and it's really similar, right? It's one of these changes that changes everything. It can be a little awkward, a little challenging, takes a long time, and in fact, the transition into motherhood, this time of matrescence, takes 2 to 3 years.
What are we talking about? Before baby or after baby, or what is it?
Well, it's a good question. I think it often kind of starts, if the mother is, carrying her baby and is pregnant with her baby, then yeah, it certainly starts during that pregnancy. But yeah, continues 2 to 3 years afterwards as well.
Wow.
All right, so talk to us about your journey with matrescence. Like, how did you become interested in it?
Yeah, so I became a doula supporting mothers through birth 17 years ago. And I wasn't a mother yet at the time. And as I started to kind of ask this maybe baby question in my own life, I happened to attend a talk by another local doula. And in that talk, she said the transition to motherhood takes 2 to 3 years. And that was the first time I had ever heard that before. We weren't really talking about matrescence back then. And, I could have been really quite alarmed by this. But, I also felt like it was a huge permission slip to, feel complex feelings about it, to take my time, to screw it up sometimes, and that we'd all be okay. So I did get pregnant, and that person who was giving the talk,
Munchkin.
she became my doula, and I think it really made a huge difference to be supported by somebody who really understood the enormity of what I was going through.
So why do you think it is so important to recognize and know about this transition, especially for new moms or maybe people thinking of becoming moms?
I think it's really profoundly normalizing. I think it's validating. And there's some really interesting preliminary research that shows that when we know about matrescence, we have an awareness of it, and we can see it as a time that is, yes, challenging, but that is also filled with the potential for personal growth and development. When we can see matrescence that way, it's actually been shown to reduce the risk of postpartum mood disorders for the entire first postpartum year. So we've got 1 in 4 mothers experiencing postpartum mood disorders, and so I think this is really important to know about.
Wow. All right. So Jessie, in your book, you write that losing yourself in motherhood is not the problem, but the point. So can you talk more about that?
Totally. We have this bounce back culture, right? We say that actually the worst thing that you could do is lose yourself in motherhood. But the truth is that anytime we go through a radical transformation in our lives, even if it's something that's otherwise joyful and wanted, we have to let go of the former self that we once were in order to be able to really fully step into that new identity. And that can be really challenging. But, if we think about that idea of adolescence being similar to matrescence, we think of adolescence as this awkward time, takes a while, but on the other side of it, you become more sure of yourself, you maybe know how you want to contribute to the world, you become more yourself. Well, that's what happens in matrescence too, but you do have to lose yourself in the process before you can learn who you're becoming.
I swear I wish I had this before I had my daughter.
No one mentioned it at all?
You were just expected to do it, have a baby, bounce back, and let's go like nothing happened. And I'll be honest, I really feel ripped off. off. That's a whole other segment, okay? So let's talk about these 2 to 3 years of matrescence.
Yeah.
What is actually happening? What are some of the changes that are occurring over this time for some women?
Yeah, so in the book Mothershift and in the programs that I teach for mothers and perinatal professionals, I share this model that I've created that kind of helps to sort of understand what happens in the process and what mothers can expect along the way. And so the first thing that we need to do, because everything is changing, right? You might feel different about your body, your career, your partnership. So many things are different. So the first really simple but powerful step is to name and acknowledge what is different for you. So it doesn't feel so overwhelming. It has some sort of containment and some sort of name to it. And then you really have to feel the feelings you're feeling about that, right? So it's normal, in fact, to feel feelings of grief and even loss as you're kind of asked to maybe put a pause on or even surrender some of the things that really matter to you in this process.
Wow.
And then there's this kind of time of in between. It's called the liminal space, where you're not a mother. You maybe have a baby in your house, but you haven't fully stepped into that identity and that sort of integrated sense of your own motherhood. And it can be really tricky because our culture loves it when we have a sense of self and identity and goals, and the liminal space is anything but that, right?
Oh, wow.
And then finally you move into this period of exploring who you're becoming as a mother and as a person who happens to be a mother. It's the fun part. It's the part everybody wants to skip to. And often we become more authentic versions of ourselves in this process.
That's
Speaking deep
That's great
stuff.
stuff. All right. Yeah, in your book, you also talk about mother powers. Tell us about what is mother power?
Okay, so the mother powers are these skills and capacities that we have the potential to cultivate through the process of matrescence. So they're things like enhanced creativity, deeper intuition, the desire to build community. And these are all things that really help us through our own experiences of matrescence, but also they're things that the world really needs more of right now. And so I think of these mother powers as being this way in which mothers are really kind of activists and change makers in our culture as well.
Yeah, I think for me personally, after having a child, I see my child in every other child's face.
Yes.
And that is the empathy that the world needs.
You got it.
I think so.
You got
Okay,
it.
let's talk about the experience of it culturally. Is matrescence the same if you're having a baby in Canada, United States, Scandinavia, Asia, wherever?
Great question. Well, I think, there's a certain extent to which this is a rite of passage that we've been going through since the literal dawn of humanity. And so there's some universality to it. And also, I think the biggest kind of factors are the social policies of the country where you live or the place where you live, and some of the cultural customs. So for example, in Canada, if you're lucky enough to have a year-long maternity leave, that really shapes how you're able to kind of go through this process and the time you have to be able to sort yourself out, And then the kind of cultural piece is that, many cultures really revere the postpartum time and protect and honor that postpartum time more so than some of our, Western culture. And so I think, again, when you're kind of off to a really good start and being cared for in that postpartum time, it really shapes your matrescence.
Oh,
Fascinating
Jessie,
discussion.
Great conversation.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for enlightening us and bringing this very important conversation about motherhood to our shows. Honor to have you here. All right, stay right where you are. We'll be right back. This is the book. Go get it.
Bare Naked Ladies. What?
Whoa!
I'm talking about Bare Naked Ladies frontman Ed Robertson will be here with us on the panel. Also a toast to Asian Heritage Month. The month of May is Asian Heritage Month. Evelyn Chick is back, bringing us a taste of some of the most popular Asian spirits available here in Canada. I think y'all are going to be in that.
Yeah, I'm excited.
As long as we're eating food, I'm good.
Same time. That's good. That's good.
Oh my
Reminder, you can catch us on Crave. You can catch us on YouTube. We've got our podcast as well. And we'll see you same time, same place tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.